On my right, he's a colleague of mine. Although we belong to two different disciplines, we are in social sciences, but Dr. Tani, Mahmoud Hassan Tani, he's a scientist, a medical doctor, and I know him for quite a number of years. I learned the day before that if you know the person so many years, you don't need to mention the years. How many years you know? Because Somalis will interpret, oh, all these years? So I say, in badan ban isnaqaanay. That's enough, right? And he also will contribute to this panel a lot of issues in both social and science aspects of.
Mukhtar invited me today to relate to you the stories that I was telling my friends these days, and how I came to the conclusion that the Somali language is a different Somali from the Somali language that we know. When I finished the medical college in 1978, late 1978, I was transferred to Wajid. There is a big Russian-built hospital there, and there's a clinic in the middle of the town, and I had to deal with my patients for the first time in my life. I was not expecting that I will be transferred to a place in Somalia where I will not understand my patients and my patients will not understand me. It was a dilemma and it was a shock to me. Nothing has ever prepared for me the shock that I went to when I went to Wajid. In medicine, we are not veterinarians. We have to talk to people. And it's called the subjective examination. You ask the patient what's wrong with him. Yeah. What he's complaining from. What's his name? Where he was born. What diseases he had before. So you have to communicate with him. So I remember the first day that I went to the clinic, an old man came from the interior. And before I tell you this story, that my idea of the Mai language was an idea given to me in Mogadishu and the people in this, other parts of the south. What they told me is that the Mai people have got a way of distorting Somali when they don't want you to understand them. But they will understand whatever you say. That was the idea that I had. And it's a prevalent idea among the Somalis until now. Whenever I talk about these things, they tell you, they understand you. You don't understand them. They know how to, make you and they understand. And when my patients came to me, the old man from the interior, the first thing I asked was, what's your name? Maga'a. He wouldn't understand. Then the nurse came to me, said, so there's a different way of saying Maga'a melere. Melere. Because the old man didn't understand what I was talking about. He just says, Then I asked him, halkeku hanunaysa. He wouldn't understand. And the nurse came to my rescue in Tekaduri. And after that, it was through the translation. The woman nurse, was a little angry with me. Because before me, there were Russian doctors. And the Russian doctors knew some rudimentary Mai. They were trained for some to know some Mai back in Russia when they were coming to Wajid. But nothing in my training in Somali University, gave me the tools to be a doctor in my region. While the Russians were training their doctors in Moscow to know Mai, or to respond to Mai. So the nurse thought that I was just like the Russians. Yeah. She thought it was part of the medical education to know Mali. And later on, I befriended, as a matter of fact, I befriended some my young people who were teachers and government clerks in the area. I related my stories to them, and they opened it up to me that there is a big operation, that there's a government scheme to suppress the Mali language. One of them was one of 5 who were put in prison in Baidala, because when the Somali script was written, he and 5 of his friends made pamphlets translating the Edict October into Mali and using the same Latin script and distributing. Despite the fact that they were distributing government propaganda, they were put in prison because the government didn't want them to write this Mali language into a paper. So all the time after they told me that in the earlier colonial times there were radio programs in Mali. So from that moment onwards, I was actively supporting the idea of the Mali people having the right to own their language, to write their language, and to be officially served in their language and to be taught in schools.
In fact, Somalis, they pronounced place names of Somali, Mali-speaking places, like he was saying, Wajid. If you go to the Somali maps today, it's not Wajid, it's called what? Wajid. Masalan, Qasr Dere, Qansah Dere, Baydabo. They make their own pronunciation to suit their own understanding or their own hearing. I myself was surprised in Wajid one time, or Wajid, where after the writing of the Somali, schools were proliferated into the whole Somali regions and Somali towns and cities. I found so interesting, there's a data I think there, at the independence, our high schools were where? They were in Mogadishu mostly, and maybe Hargeisa, Sheikh. We had not many high schools in the country. But in the 80s, high schools were everywhere, every corner in Somalia. There were middle schools, high schools. Wajid was one of the places that had its own school, which it never had during the independence. It had only elementary school. So the name of the school was called Duksiga Sare e Handulle Halane. It was to my surprise, because these people in their language, they don't have this house at all. They cannot say Handulle nor Halane. And they never had man whose name like that. So why this place is called Handulle Halane? So I asked the principal, and he told me, no, this name, you don't know, this is a great hero of Somalia's flag when we were fighting against Ethiopia. He died for the cause of the flag. I thought maybe some mice also died for the flag. Why did you name? Why you call Handulle Halane?